Hi, welcome to the Pearls and Polish podcast. My name is Rachel. I'm your host, coming to you from just outside Sacramento, California. This is episode 73, and this is my little corner of the internet where I talk most about knitting, crochet, and what other crafty things I happen to be up to. So if you are a new viewer, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry. Links to those are down in the description below, along with all of the dyers, designers, and makers that I mentioned in today's episode. So let's get started with some finished objects. I've got a couple finished objects, I got a couple works in progress, and just some other fun things to share with you. So starting off are my May socks for Freckled Whimsy's Yarn Club of the Month. And this colorway is called Mint to Flamingle, and these have been so fun to knit up. When I wrote up my notes, I wrote everything I wanted to talk about, and I forgot to put the designer's name and the name of this pattern. So that's going to be linked down below, rather than me trying to remember on the spot. But essentially, it's a ribbed sock, and I love ribbed socks for self-striping yarn. I like that it has a little bit of extra stretch, so I can do an afterthought heel like I did here. I love that you have a bit of a pattern without overpowering the stripes. So this pattern had the option of doing a traditional cuff and then doing kind of the rib pattern throughout the sock, or you could just do the rib pattern all throughout. So that's the path I went with. I didn't really need a different rib for the cuff because the whole sock is a rib. So I just cast on and started ribbing. So that turned out really great. When I was kind of planning out my sock and I was knitting the first one, and I really wanted to do matching socks. And this yarn that I got this month really matched well. I'm gonna try and back up a little bit. But all the stripes worked out so that they matched. So I'm really happy with how those turned out. Every once in a while I get like a stripe off or a couple rows off and the toes don't match exactly, but this time around it worked out great. So really happy with how these turned out. And then while I was working on these, I was also working on a pair of socks for my sister. So she went through my stash earlier in the year and picked out a bunch of yarn that she wanted for herself for socks. So I did the High Desert Socks by Lindsey Fowler, and that is one of my most favorite DK socks. I love this pattern. I've knit well over 20 pairs of just this sock pattern. It is written for fingering weight yarn and you hold it double, which is how that you get that really fun marled color. And her pattern is actually written for one main color and then two different minis. So you would do one mini here for the cuff, the heel, and the toe, and then you would have another separate mini for this inside stripe. So you would have your main color, your inside stripe, and your main color as far as minis go. But I didn't really want to do that. I didn't want to try and find another color in my stash that was going to work. So I used, for this pair, let me tell you what this is first. This main colorway is called Great Tea Always Has That Effect. And it was an exclusive colorway by Woolberry from their Lit Club from 2024. And so it's this beautiful, it's not really a peach. It's kind of a tan, but it has some peach undertones and it's got some little black speckles. And so because of the black speckles, I picked a black yarn that I had in my stash, and I have probably 80 grams. So I had a lot of black yarn. So I knew I would have plenty to do heels, toes, and cuffs, but also to do this stripe and not have to worry about finding a third color. So those are done. I still need to take a picture and then I can hand them off to my sister. The hard part about knitting thick socks in the middle of summer is that you can't wear them right away. You kind of have to wait until it gets a little colder. But once it gets colder where she lives, she will have nice warm cozy socks to put on. So very excited about those. Those still need to get photographed so I can post them on Instagram and Ravelry, and then kind of in my own notes, and then hand those off to who they need to go to. So let's move into WIPs, works in progress. So for the month of June, I kind of felt like I was just kind of muddling through. I kind of go through this over the summer where I just take a long time to finish things. And I'm a fairly fast knitter, but I also have a very busy day-to-day schedule. So I knit when I can. I really like knitting socks because they're portable, so it's easy to take them from a meeting to taekwondo practice to swim lessons to, you know, all the different things that I am transporting kids back and forth to. But for some reason, this month just kind of dragged, which is fine. That's kind of the season, and I kind of expected that. But as I was getting towards the second half of the month, I decided I was going to focus on one project and finish it. So that started with the, what pair did I do first? I think it was the Great Tea Has That Effect, the DK socks, because I was so close to finishing those. So that was the only project I worked on, and I got those done. And then I finished my May socks and, or no, I guess those are my June socks. My June socks, and I worked on those and only those. The last project that I have for June is my Soho top. So I've had this for at least a couple months that I've been working on this, but I finally finished the body. So this is a top that is knit in garter stitch, which when you kind of cast on, you're knitting flat, which works out great. But then when you get to the body itself, you're knitting in the round. So you alternate between a knit stitch and a purl stitch, which does make it go a little slower, at least for me. The yarn that I used is Line Bran Re-Up Recycled Cotton and Polyester Blend. And that has been on a cone. So this is the first time I worked off of a cone, which has been a great experience because the yarn is all the same color lot. So I don't have to worry about alternating skeins or keeping track of which skeins I've used. But this colorway, like I said, cotton polyester, and it's 14 ounces, 397 grams, 651 yards, 595 meters, and it's 70% recycled cotton, 30% recycled polyester. And this one is Fig Tree. So it has been an experience. I have not knit like tank tops or t-shirts before. I've usually done sweaters, hats, scarves, cowls, obviously lots of socks, mittens, so other garment type things. And this is my first time using some sort of cotton blend. So overall good experience. I did notice with this, one, it's a little heavier than I would have expected. I don't know if it's because it's a thicker cotton polyester blend, or I'm just used to really thin, like fingering weight wool yarns that tend to hold air a little more. So it just feels a little heavier. I still need to do two things. So on this, like the neckline, there is a I-cord bind off. So I still need to pick up stitches to do the I-cord for the neckline on both sides. And then the armholes have an I-cord as well. This top is a little, I wouldn't say it's cropped because I don't wear crop tops, but I did do it so that it would hit just right at like where my jeans level are. And that being said, because garter stitch tends to be a little heavier, it's going to stretch. And especially as you wear it, it warms up and it kind of stretches out a little bit. So I made it just to fit so that once it washes, I can kind of stretch it to the size that I actually want it. So this is mostly done. I have woven in all of my ends, but I just need to pick up the neckline and then the two armholes, and then I'm done. The only reason I haven't done that is I haven't had a lot of time to knit in the day. I've been doing a lot of my knitting in the evening, which has been great. However, I do need some fairly good light to be able to see where I'm picking up stitches. So I want to make sure I'm not, working at a deficit when I'm doing that. Also, I noticed, because I did the I-cord bind off here along the edge, but I noticed that the way I was holding my needles, I was starting to get some pain in my wrist. And I was trying to be very aware of that. However, I don't want to push my wrists too far, and so where I am in pain for something like a top. So going to try and get this done within the next day or two so I can be officially done with it in the month of June. But I'm so happy that it is finally cast off, and I just have those last couple finishing touches to finish off. So my other work in progress, I decided to start a new project since I only had a little bit left on that top. And kind of going into summer, I wanted to finish one of the last projects that I had started and had stopped for lots of reasons. So in 2023, I want to say it was 2023, Yarnaceous did a advent calendar based off of the book Dinotopia, which is one of my favorite children's books. The illustrations are absolutely gorgeous. And so the colorways were based off of that book series, and I had to have it. So I bought it, and I had plans for a project, and the plans did not go well. So like halfway through Advent season, I ripped apart this project, and I ended up doing a pair of high desert socks, making all these stripes with my yarn, which worked out great, but I had leftovers. So I had planned on doing a blanket, a knitted blanket, and I had started it to kind of start my year, and it was not going well. It was going to get too big too fast, and it was not going to work out. So I had scrapped it again. I had put everything away, and I just let it sit. So with kind of summer, I have realized that Advent knitting with minis may not be the thing for me. I love the idea of doing a mini a day, but I don't know how realistic that can be since my kids are still in school. So that's kind of bumping up between still being in school, not being in school, all the different things we have going on. I just don't know what my time is going to look like. But I really wanted to finish this project, start this project, start and finish. So what I had done when I was prepping for this blanket the first time around, my bag is falling, I'll put it down here, was I had taken all of my minis and I had made a giant magic knot ball. I actually made two. So this is the first half, and I believe this is day 1 through 12. And then I made the second half, and this is days 13 through 24. And so they're all knotted together, they're all ready to go, so I just have to start working with them. When I had planned this blanket, I had also planned to hold it with a single strand of white plain sock yarn. And I had bought a bag of bulk of sock yarn. And so I also had, I don't know if this is one skein or two, but I have, this, and then I had another one. I don't remember if this was leftover from another project, but everything was ready and it was all in a bag. And so I just needed to start. So I started a blanket, because what else do you do with 400 grams of fingering weight yarn? You do a blanket. So this is the start. I started this blanket yesterday. And at first I was a little nervous as far as this isn't gonna blend well. You're not gonna be able to tell the colors. But now holding it up and seeing it, you can start to see the colors kind of shift. So this is the, hold on, let me look at my notes. The Rainbow Ripple Baby Blanket. I know Kayla of the Crazy Sock Lady has done multiples of these. I believe Sock Princess has also done at least one. So the nice thing about crochet is it uses up more yarn than a knitted item. So okay, this would be perfect because I'll be using up material. So the blanket won't be super massive, but it will still be pretty big. So here we are. I did not keep count as far as like what color I'm on, but I'm guessing, just kind of eyeballing it, I would say I'm on color 3, maybe, hard to say. But we are trucking along. It's a very easy pattern once you kind of get it established. It is free on Ravelry, so that will be linked down below. I have noticed with my knitting and my crochet, with knitting, like it has to be right. If it's not right, I'm gonna take it apart. There is a slight mistake in my June socks where I purled a stitch instead of knit a stitch, and it was too far into my work for me to take it apart, but it bugs me because I can see it. When I put them on, will I see it? Probably not. But for the most part with my knitting, it has to be right, and I'm gonna take it apart and start over if it's not. With my crochet, it's more of a like, whatever. It works, make it work. I have a very more relaxed approach to my crochet. I don't know why, but that's where we're at. So once I got it kind of established, I just kind of decided to go with it, and we're making it work. Not that there are big issues with this pattern. The pattern is written really well. I made a mistake here or there, and I just adjusted to make it work. So this is going to take a good amount of my time, but with summer and just things going on, this will be a nice kind of meditative work in that I don't have to focus too hard. I can do kind of one color a day. It's definitely less than 20 grams. I don't remember how many grams exactly per color I have, but it's just be a nice way to kind of wind down. So looking forward to working on this more. But that kind of pushes us into what's coming up next. So what is coming up next? July starts Tuesday. Today is Sunday. July 1st is Tuesday, so I'm already kind of prepping for my July projects. So obviously I'm going to be working on my July socks, and that colorway has already come in. I'm not going to show it since I don't know if everyone has gotten theirs yet, but I'll have it in the next episode to show you with some progress. But it's a beautiful colorway. It's 8 color repeat instead of 6. So I am anticipating possibly that these stripes are going to be a little smaller, like not as wide. So I haven't picked out a pattern for that yet, but that is going to be in the mix. On top of that, I am doing the American Knit It Challenge that's being hosted by Ladybug Laboratory and Casey Knits. And I'm going to be on a team with at least Scabs of Slip Slip Sis. They have a channel here on YouTube as well. I don't know if Chaley is also doing that challenge, but I am going to be on a team with them, or at least Gabs, and I've never done kind of one of these challenge project things before. So I know Woolberry did one a couple months ago, and it seemed like a lot of fun. So I was a little bummed I missed out, but with this one, I was like, okay, I don't know what to expect. So because of that, I am just going to limit my new cast-ons to this blanket that I just showed you and my July socks, and then kind of wait to see what the prompts say. I believe the prompts start the first full week of July, I believe. But if you want to check out what the post is and what the requirements and all that, check out their Instagram pages. Those will be linked down below as well. And then, maybe find a team and see if you can join in on the fun. I will definitely be putting information up here on YouTube and on Instagram of my progress and the projects that I'm working on for that. So last week's video was not a regular podcast. It was a video on different types of dyed yarn and different patterns that you could pick to go with those yarns that would kind of work to best advantage. And these are just things that I have picked up over the years of knitting lots and lots of socks. One thing I say over and over again of these are just my opinions and my suggestions. If you really like a certain yarn and you really want to do a certain kind of pattern and that's what brings you joy, definitely go for it. But it was such a fun video to put together. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and obviously got a lot of views, but we also passed my 800 subscriber goal. So we now have 800 subscribers to the Pearls and Polish channel, which I'm so excited about. I was talking to my sister yesterday, and I was kind of hemming and hawing, but like, it's not a ton of people, it's not a big following. And she kind of looked at me and she's like, Rachel, like 800 people, that's a lot of people. Like, that's more than how many kids we went to in high school. Like, the whole high school was more than, or you have more subscribers than the entire high school. Like, you have more subscribers than your graduating class. And my graduating class was one of the largest that my high school had at the time. Like, if we put 800 people in the coffee shop that we were sitting in, it's like we would have to stack people. That's a lot of people. So big thank you to my sister for giving me some perspective. So I did not want to let that goal that we reached go by unnoticed. So if you are a new viewer, welcome. So excited to have you here. But to celebrate 800 subscribers, I did want to do a giveaway. So I went through my stash and I picked out 2 yarns. And if you know me well, you know that my 2 favorite colors are purple and green. When we got married, our colors were purple and green. When we had kids and we had baby showers, the colors were purple and green. I love purple and green together. So I went through my stash and I found purple and green. So these are from Woolberry, and this is from last year's Lit Club. So these are exclusive colorways. They were only done for the Lit Club. And this purple one is called Ginny's Bracelet. This green one is called Summer Hedgerow. They're both on 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 100 grams, 400 yards. This is their Berry Cozy sock. But these are both part of the same book. And I love these colors, just in general. I love these colors together. I loved kind of all the different depths that you get in this green. And you still get kind of variations in color in this purple, but they're not as noticeable as you do in this one. But these are 2 of my favorite colors, and I wanted to share them with one of you. So what do you have to do to be entered into this giveaway? Put something in the comments below. That's it. There's no special prompt. There's no form or anything. Throw a comment down below. I will pick someone at random and they will win these 2 colorways. And again, wanted to say thank you to all of you who watch this channel and help support it, for helping me reach that 800 subscriber goal. All right, moving into reading and watching, because I love to share what I'm reading and watching, and I love getting suggestions from all of you for different books and movies and shows and whatnot. So what am I reading? So I finally finished Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. It took me way too long to get through that book. It's a great series, don't get me wrong. It just felt really slow, and I was getting a little worried that we had like 30 minutes left in the book, because I do audiobooks, and stuff still wasn't kind of wrapped up. So I was getting a little concerned of like, they're just going to wrap this up in a really pretty bow and I'm going to be upset. There's another book coming out. I don't know when. I don't know what it's called. But there's at least one more book in this series. And at this point, I don't know if I'm going to read it. It was just really, really slow for me. But finally finished it. I probably stayed up way too late just so I could finish it. And now it's done. So moved on to my next book. I am reading The Lady's Road Guide to Utter Ruin by Alison Goodman. And this is the 2nd book in the series. And this one is so fun. It is set kind of in Victorian times, I would say. They don't have cars yet, so I'm assuming Victorian England. And it's these 2 spinsters. They're in their, I think, 40s, early 40s, but these 2 twin sisters who never married. One was engaged and that didn't work out, and they're just enjoying their lives, and they're independently wealthy, so they can live on their own together and they start solving crimes, one more willing than the other. So this is the second book in the series. Really enjoy the writing, really enjoy kind of the brutal truth as far as like the Victorian age, if not everything was sunshine and roses, and Bridgerton, nothing was like that. They do show and talk about some of the darker sides of that time period. I will say there are some parts where it talks about women being taken advantage of. And the writer puts it in a way where they are pulled out of different situations. One of them being mental asylums, where women in particular were put in them sometimes to just get them out of the way. So if that is something that is not for you, maybe skip this book. They write it very like aware of the situation and very tastefully, for lack of a better words. But it is honest on how mental health was approached in that time period. Same with brothels and just children in brothels. That is a reality even today. And so if that is something that you are sensitive to, maybe skip this book. But really enjoy it. They get out in the end, so it does end kind of on a higher note, but just throwing that out there if that's maybe something not for you. As far as shows, I've kind of been in a slump as far as watching stuff. So I started Once Upon a Time Again on Disney Plus, and I've seen the show before. I think I finished it all the way through at least once. I've started it multiple times, but I haven't completed it. So it's been kind of a nice distraction, and so I kind of have that playing as I do different things. But yeah, kind of in a show slump. So if you have any suggestions for like a good show, nothing too like gory or gross, since I do have kids, so sometimes they peek over my shoulder to see what I'm watching, and not always appropriate for them. So I would love to hear some suggestions in the comments if you have any. And that is my episode for today. So thank you for joining me. As always, make sure you like and subscribe so you always know when we have a new episode coming out. I'm hoping to record some more tutorials to have those out and available. If you'd like to see some of my tutorials, there is a playlist and I will link those as well. But by hitting that subscribe button, you will get notifications anytime an episode comes out, whether it's a regular scheduled one or one that just happens to pop up. You will get notified for that. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys next time.